Hi, welcome back to Let's Chat and Cook a Chicken. Change is really the only constant in life I've found, so grab a cup of tea or coffee and sit with me this morning while I show you how I'm recreating the savory pumpkin tart that I had in England last fall when Patty and I went on vacation. Thanks for joining. Hi again, welcome back to my vlog. I have adult ADD cooking like all the time, but especially today. And Fridays are my big cooking day. I like to get prepared for the weekend. I like to clear out the fridge, as you've heard me talk about my soups. But also like pizza. I love pizza, but I especially love pizza on Friday. So I'm making bread. We always make that on Friday. So with my sourdough discard that's unfed, I make my pizza dough. It's a good way to use up your discard dough. And today I'm using King Arthur flour sourdough starter discard dough, pizza dough. You can look it up online. It's very good. And like once I mix this dough up, depending on the temperature in the room, it's in Miami, so it's warm. It could be 2 to 4 hours that it's like doubled in bulk and almost ready. But on top of that, because it's Friday and I always feed Madra, I have 2 going. And you can kind of see the line. They've already come up a bit, Madra. And I'm doing 2 because I use a lot of starter now in my doughs, so I need extra starter. I'm going to make a rye caraway sourdough today and maybe just a regular sourdough. I like to always have that. Halloween's over, so I have my pumpkin left, but I'm not going to throw it out, of course. I'm going to put it up and roast it. And when we were in England recently, oh my gosh, you might have seen my post. I ate these most delicious savory tarts, which I love a savory tart. Who doesn't? But I have these cute little tart tins. And I'm going to do, I think the one I ate was actually probably winter squash or whatever, or maybe even sweet potato, I can't remember, but I'll put a picture of it up with this vlog. It was so delicious, and my thing is I always try to sort of dissect something I've found that I like to eat and then try to make it at home. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna make these roasted pumpkin savory tarts, and they're going to have toasted pumpkin seeds on top, and sunflower seeds, and some kind of warm spice. So we're going to get to that, and then we're going to talk about some interesting things along the way. Okay. We're going to cut up the pumpkin now. We're going to be roasting it with some warm spices, probably cinnamon and maybe cardamom. I haven't decided that yet. And it's going to be a little bit of a bear to cut this up. And I did put my hair up because when you cook, you should have your hair up. I especially, because I have long hair, but I wanted you to see my beautiful color job I had the other day, and I cut. Anyway, I should have a cleaver for this, but we're just gonna try and hope that I don't cut my hand off. But just be careful. When you're cutting heavy pumpkins and whatever, it's hard to cut through. We're doing it. I use this serrated knife. Oops, I just went off course. It's not really that easy. Just circle it around. It doesn't really matter. You just want to get the lid off so you can get the seeds out, and then okay. I should roast these too. It's fun. Like when you're little, you always roast the pumpkin seeds with a little salt and maybe cayenne or something. All right, so we'll scoop out all the seeds. I'll move my sourdough starter and all the guts of the pumpkin. It's messy but fun. Do it with kids, if you have kids around. And we'll get all those little hairs out of there in a minute after we get. I'm just going to use my hand in a second, but I'm going to start it with the spoon to disconnect all the strands. It's a messy job, but it's worth it. You don't want to waste them. Yeah. Okay, especially this one I can do easily. On the top. I got most of the seeds and the stringy stuff taken out, which I will take the stringy stuff off and then roast my pumpkin seeds with the pumpkin, because why not? You know, my rule is like, if I'm gonna have the stove on, you know, energy is expensive these days, I might as well roast multiple things. Don't just do one little thing. If you're roasting carrots, put in beets or seeds or potatoes or whatever you want to roast. So we're going to do our pumpkin roasting and our seeds together. So now we've got to cut up the pumpkin into chunks, and I've decided, because it's kind of a bear to get the skin off and it has a lot of nutrients in it, I'm just going to roast the pumpkin with the skin on, see how that goes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I remember I said we're going to talk about some things today, and you know, everyone knows, well, some of you don't, I'm very into spiritual things and signs and messages, and, you know, talking to my spirit guides. I get messages all the time. And so thinking about what to talk about today, there's always something to talk about. On my Instagram, my spirit guide Instagram, it's been talking a lot about change and letting go of, you know, who you used to be. We're always evolving. That's always my thing in life, is the only constant in life is change. We've all heard that one. It is so true. I mean, think about it. You loved your third grade teacher. Oh gosh, my daughter Maggie had the greatest teacher in second and third grade, Mrs. B and Paul Merzicki. And they were so nice and nurturing, and she just flourished with them, and they loved her, and they were sweet. But, you know, you're not going to be in second and third grade forever. Eventually you have to go to fourth grade. So there's change, and you just have to embrace it. And she's not this, you know, you're not the same kid that you were in second grade that you are in fourth grade, and so on. So, and people get scared about change. Everybody does. I do too, to a degree. But as life has gone on, I see change is now, it's exciting, actually. You don't want to be changing like every other week, changing your apartment or your job, but sometimes sort of big changes are due, and just embrace them in the adventure and the ride, and see where it takes you. It normally will take you into some sort of new evolution, transition, somewhere you need to be, that you're going towards, so that you're not stuck in the same thing. So we'll talk more about change and I'm going to cut this up, and I'll show you what I'm going to roast it with in a little bit. I decided to just go with big, easy chunks with the skin on. So you see, just nice big pieces, pretty even sized pieces, so they cook the same. And then I'll coat these in olive oil, salt, pepper, a little cinnamon. I'm thinking a little bit of cayenne. Let's see. Okay, I turned the stove on to roast. I'm warming it up, roast 475. And while that is heating up, preheating, I'm going to get my pumpkin coated in olive oil, salt, pepper, and a few extra little things. The spices I'm choosing are ground coriander, ground cumin. I love the warm earthiness of cumin. Coriander is sort of a bright spice. Cinnamon, warm and sweet, and a little dark chili powder, because I like a little kick. And for an extra little, because it is a sweet savory tart, I'm going to dress them also to be roasted in a little bit of honey and a little bit of maple syrup. I think it's being really good. And I'm going to mix the spices. I just eyeball these. I really don't, this is probably a 4 pound pumpkin, 3 pounds. I don't know, I could weigh it. Anyway, I just eyeball things. I'm going to do like teaspoon, no, 3/4 teaspoon of coriander. I like cumin a lot. So probably do a teaspoon of that. Also, who doesn't love cinnamon? Heavy on the cinnamon. A little bit lighter on the chili powder. Not everybody likes that. And I think it would, and I'll put the salt and pepper in here too. This is pretty coarse salt. I don't think I should have done that, but pepper. I love pepper too. It's also a warm spice. I decided to mix them up in the bowl so that I don't get one piece of pumpkin that's like all cayenne. You know. So anyway, mix up your little spice rub. I'm going to put about, maybe this is 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil to coat my pumpkin. Just, you know, clean hands are your best tools, like I always say. Just coat everything, and I'll sprinkle them with the spices once they're, on the board. Just rub them in with your hands. Extra spices for the seeds, because this is a lot of pumpkin. I didn't mix up that much, but I'll just sprinkle it on. Just like nice little movements. Get it all spread around nicely. Oh, it smells good already. Oh my gosh. Even though I'm here in Miami and it doesn't really always feel like the holidays, or there's no change of seasons. It's hot to hotter to hurricanes. I mean, there's no nice fall or cool spring or winter or snow. So I have to create the holidays myself, usually through food, decoration, flowers, movies, things that are seasonal. I didn't leave too much. You know what? I'm going to use it all up. I'll mix up new spices for my pumpkin seeds, so that these are really flavorful. Yeah. Okay, those are ready to go. Those aside. Okay, so for the seeds, you know, just separate off this, kind of creepy looking innards of the pumpkin. Try to get as many seeds off of it as you can so you don't waste any. And then I always have a little kitchen tip. I always have my garbage bucket open, so I can just turn around and fling in the garbage. It's me. I like to streamline production, you know, because I was a florist for so many years. I'm so used to doing, and I did canning from our garden. So tasks that can be done, like large tasks that take a long time and they're repetitive, I like to streamline things and figure out the fastest way to do things, you know. It's productive. I think that's the Puritan New Englander Scottish in me. It's just frugal, efficient, productive. It's looking pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to be crazy about getting every little hair of the pumpkin out of there. It will dry in the roasting and just sort of fall away. But try to get the biggest. Absorb some of that liquid so that they get nice and toasty and not soggy. I don't think I usually even put olive oil, but I'm going to put it this time. And I'm going to put the cumin for sure. I don't know about the coriander. The cumin, cinnamon, a little bit of chili powder. Well, these are going to be good. And let me not do those big. I have a finer sea salt. Nice and salty. And then I just realized I forgot to put the honey and the maple syrup on the pumpkin. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to drizzle it on. This looks pretty good. Oh, I got my, roast them together, same temperature. Spread them out on the pan so they're not all glopped together. Oh God, you know what I just thought about? Pumpkin brittle. Wouldn't this be good with like a little buttery sort of caramel and the cayenne spice on top of like ice cream? Or pumpkin pie, like a little brittle, just sort of, oh man, that sounds good. Let's try that. Okay, so these are ready. And now we're going to take our pumpkin slices and just put, and so that I don't over pour, sometimes I put the maple syrup like in the cap and just bloop. So a little drizzle on each. Where's my calories, you know? Just to give it a little nice sweetness. That looks good. And the honey comes out a little slower, so you can just go like this. Oh my God. You know what, tarts, I could just eat them just like this. Okay, that looks so good. All right, now we just wait for the oven to be ready, and we'll start going. Look at it's 10 minutes after 9 in the morning. We've already fed Madra, our sourdough starter. We've already used our discard dough and have pizza dough going. We've carved up our pumpkin. We're making pumpkin seeds so that we're ready for the tarts. And that's a lot. We did a lot this morning. Haha, Friday. Okay, there's the timer. Oh God, ooh, it's so hot. These have been, okay. Ooh, timer off. All right, so the pumpkin with the spices and olive oil has been roasting for 20, 35, about 40 minutes. And they look beautiful. It smells so amazing in here. See, I am creating my fall atmosphere, even though it's 85 degrees out. And what you're looking for now is fork tender. So my fork is actually going so nicely right through most of these, but not all of them. That's funny. I think I might take, you know what, it's okay. I'm gonna put it in, because not even half of them are as soft as I would like. So I'll take one off to taste it. I'm gonna put it back in for another 5 minutes. But that's what you want. You want your fork to go right through. See how soft? That one's actually done, but it won't hurt it to go. But see that one? Boop, not going through. 5 more minutes. So some of the pieces will be a little mushier than others, which is nice, and some will have a little more texture still left, a little more bite. That's nice. I think it'll give it a good mix. I'm gonna start working. I almost forgot. I have to make a dough for my savory pumpkin tart. So about a couple months ago, I made this really good quiche, and I used my favorite, a Black Emmer ancient grain flour in that dough for the quiche, and I really loved the taste of it. It's a little nuttier. So I'm going to make my dough, and I'll show you in a minute, with the Black Emmer half and half, like all-purpose flour and Black Emmer, and I think it's going to make a nice tart dough. We'll do that in a second. I use all-purpose flour, which usually most doughs, like pie dough, is just all-purpose flour, but I like to use the Black Emmer in my pastry dough now, and my cookies and my muffins. It's just so good. It has a nutty flavor. It's easier to digest, and for people like that, they don't want their insulin to spike, this is really good for that. So anyway, there's a lot of benefits. So we're going to use, so simple to remember, I like things that I can remember. 2 cups of flour, 1 of each, 2 sticks of butter, and 2 to 4 tablespoons of ice water, which I have icing over here. And we just pour that in. We kind of eyeball it and see. We start with 2. If it still looks really too dry, maybe put another one in, but we'll do it together. And I like to make my tart dough, my pie dough, in the Cuisinart. Just so much easier and less handling. So we are going to start 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Again, I know I'm not as precise as, there's 1 cup. And then we're gonna do 1 cup of Black Emmer. Oh my God, these muffins, we're gonna make these my new favorite muffins. I make them all the time. They're so healthy and so delicious, and the texture is incredible. And I really have to attribute most of it to this Black Emmer flour, which I get at Janie's Mills. Janie Mill, you can order it online. Okay, half cup. So now we have our 2 cups of flour mix. And we're gonna put that right in the Cuisinart. And then I had my butter just in the freezer for like maybe not even a half an hour, because you want your butter and your water and even your flour should be cold, but I'm not that fanatical, but definitely the butter you want really cold, because then it's going to hold its shape while it's baking in the crust, and it's going to be solid when it goes in, and then as the heat hits it, the steam is going to be created and those pockets are going to be flaky, make the dough flaky. So that is the reason behind cold butter. You don't want it to be too warm and already flat, because you won't get a flaky crust. So anyway, just chop it up into little diced cubes. I cut down dough. I take the 2 sticks, cut them lengthwise in half, and then cut them again into little cubes. Makes it just easier to deal with. All in there, nice and cold. They're not ice cubes, but they are nice and cold. I know it's a lot of butter. They really need a lot of butter. Some people make pie dough, and I do too. I love the Art of the Pie book and 4 and 20 Blackbirds from Brooklyn pie book, and they have all kinds of different doughs with, you know, leaf lard, regular lard, all butter, half lard, half butter. You know, you just play around with them. That's the fun of it. See what you like. But right now we're doing butter. And this is a savory tart, so I'm not putting any sugar in here. I'm putting 1 tablespoon of ice water, 2 tablespoons of ice water, and let me check. I used unsalted butter. I should have used salted. I'm going to put some salt into my dough, because it would have been in like half a teaspoon. Okay, you know what? Because I'm using the Black Emmer, I already know I probably need another tablespoon of water. So now we're just going to pulse it 10 times. I think that was more than 10. And I think I was supposed to pulse the butter and the dough first and then put the water. So I'm just going to keep pulsing. Okay. Oh, it looks pretty good. And if it sticks together, which it almost does, but not quite, I'm going to put the 4th tablespoon of water in there and give it another couple pulses. And I think that's going to be better. But one more. It's all because I think the wheat dough is okay. Now I'm happy. Okay, I can tell. You take a little clump and squeeze it together, and it sticks. See that? Nice. So here's another trick. This last week when I made apple pie dough, and I learned you're supposed to put the dough into a little tea towel to finish forming it so that you don't overwork it. Watch out for that sharp. Okay, let's put that aside. So you don't use your hands because your hands are hot. Just scoop it all up into this tea towel And we're gonna do the rest of our shaping in here. You could do this in plastic wrap too. I usually do that. But we're gonna shape it into a disc using the tea towel. And I can already feel it forming, so that's a good sign. And it's less messy actually. You don't have to waste flour. And then this is actually gonna go, oh, very nice. Look at how pretty that is. It's shaped up really beautifully. Look at, nice. So the problem I didn't like last time was this was too crumbly. So I wanna make sure that I get it all the way kneaded together. Not over kneading, but enough that I don't have those crumbly edges like I did before. I'll just press it in like that into the ball. All right, then we're gonna wrap it in plastic wrap. No, I'm happy. I'm very happy with this dough. And I like the color. I just wanna make sure I don't have those big cracks. So I'm gonna make it into the disc and make sure that all, so maybe it does need a little bit of my hand warmth to pull it together. I can already feel the butter melting though, you gotta be careful. All right, that looks really good. Oops, don't waste any. All right, in we go, that looks gorgeous. And now it has to chill in the fridge. It's gonna get that butter cold again. But you see all the little speckles of butter? Well, it's plastic. The speckles of butter, I'll show you when it comes out. That's what's gonna make the pockets of steam and make the flakiness. So your savory tart dough has to sit and chill in the fridge for at least a half an hour. Could be an hour, but I'll probably do a half an hour because I already have my pumpkin is ready to go. Oh, look at it, looks so nice and it's really delicious. And so roasting it with the skin on was a good move because it gives it more flavor, keeps the moisture in, and look how easily it pulls apart from the skin. Delicious. Okay. Butternut. What am I saying? Okay, look, wait, you know what? Take two. I don't want to reset it. We have roasted our pumpkins with spice. Let's do a little recap to where we are because we've accomplished a lot and it's only 11 o'clock in the afternoon, in the morning. And these are delicious as is, but we're gonna make them into a tart today that I was inspired by in Richmond, England. It was most delicious savory tart. So I'm trying to recreate that. It's one of my favorite things to do is actually if I eat something that I really love when I'm out, I try to go back to my own kitchen and just, you know, figure out what the flavors were, what I liked about it, and try to learn how to make it myself. So that's what I've done today with you along. So this kind of turned into a very experimental cooking thing. And now, more experiments. I've got to figure out, there looked like there was some sort of filling, not just straight squash in the tart. There's some sort of filling, and they weren't like a pie, not like a totally pulverized combined pie, but some sort of binder filling that I'm gonna put the dough down, and then I'm gonna put this little bit of filling in, and then I'm gonna chunk up rustically, just chunk up my pumpkin and set it in there and put the seeds on top and wait till you, oh my gosh. Another thing I do is I research like similar recipes. So I'm look up pumpkin tarts, savory tarts, butternut squash tarts, things like that. So while everything's cooking and cooling, I've been researching, and I think what's really gonna set this over the top, which it was not in the English tart, but it's gonna be in my tart. I'm making a honey, maple syrup, I think crushed red pepper flakes, and a little bit of, because I love vinegar, the twang of it, a little bit of, it called for white wine vinegar, but I have white balsamic vinegar. Anyway, I'm going to heat those things together in some combination, and I'm gonna make like a glaze. So it's gonna be this sweet and savory and spicy little glaze over the top of my tart. I think it's gonna be like crazy good. So right now, let's just figure out, again, it's Friday. I have little bits and pieces of everything in my fridge, and I was trying to figure out the binder for this tart, and I had a little bit of leftover pumpkin puree. I can't even remember why I had the pumpkin puree, but anyway, I have a little bit left. So I'm gonna use that. Now this pumpkin puree is pure pumpkin puree. It has no salt or spices or anything, so it's very, you know, pumpkin-y. I need to probably add some salt to this, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit of flour. And maybe a little sweetener. So a little salt. And because everything else is getting, I'm gonna put a little bit of maple syrup in there. Just a little bit. And I think I could put cornstarch as a bit of a binder, but what about this? This is, I had these left over and they're almost getting stale, but they're still good. I tasted them. You know, I love these from the airlines, these Lotus biscuits. Oh my God, they're so good. And to do a taste test, I took a little bit of my roasted pumpkin and I put a little piece of it on a piece of this cracker biscuit. It was like a nice combination. So what I'm gonna do, I think instead of cornstarch or breadcrumbs, I'm gonna crush these up. This is what I like to do. I'm gonna crush them up and put them in my pumpkin puree and bind it. That might be enough. If you don't have these, you could use cornstarch or flour, just like you would in a pie filling, but we're not making a pie. We're just a rustic. I really want the chunks of pumpkin to come through. And probably I could have just put that in there, just the pumpkins puree. I mean the pumpkin chunks. I don't even fully need, but I think this is gonna be really good. Yeah, so this is gonna be interesting. You know, it's just fun. I like the creativity of it. So here we go. Get right in. Oh, looks good already. And I wonder if we need a little butter. Maybe. I think this is really looking good. It's not enough though. Well, I'm only making 4 little tarts, but it's not really enough, but it's gonna have to be. I like it a lot. I think it's gonna be perfect. Put maybe a little cinnamon in there. All right, so I put a little bit of brown sugar in here after the Lotus biscuits and a little bit of flour. And I tasted it, I really liked it. So even though this isn't enough, I'll put like at least a tablespoon in each of my little tartlet trays and squish up, you know, squish up my pumpkin. Anyway, here's our beautiful tart dough. And it's been in the, oh, look at, so there's the butter I was telling you about. So a little flecks of butter, beautiful. It's been in the fridge for, gosh, probably an hour now. We have 4 tarts. This is way too much probably. I'm probably only gonna use, let's just start with half. Oh, gorgeous. And then let's cut this in half. Again, sometimes I make a really long tart. I have a beautiful tart tray. But in this case, I just love these little guys. They're so cute. Let's see, I need some flour. Just a little bit. Got my rolling pin. You know what? If anyone wants to get me for Christmas, I love this rolling pin, but it's too long. I have a little kitchen now. I want a little short, like stubby little rolling pin. So you don't have these long sides. See how it gets in the way? Maggie, Pat, Kim, Peggy, Liz, somebody out there. Get me a little cute rolling pin for handy situations like this. So this is gonna be too much, I can tell already, for my tart. Is it, well, you know what? I'm gonna make a thick tart. I'm gonna keep it round. I don't wide girth. There, that's better. And it was kind of thick. The tart crust that I had in England, it wasn't overly thin, and it came up the sides. Just, I love things that aren't perfect. It just kind of came up the sides. Well, look at the picture I put on the vlog. You'll see. I want to go back there just for those tarts. I can't figure them out. But I think we're getting close. It's the fun of cooking, creating. Now let's be creative. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. It is pretty thick, but that's all right. And let's just push it in, push it down into the pan. It's all right. I'm not going to leave all this extra overhang. They look, but I do like it a little bit. So I'm going to take my knife. I don't even really need the knife, but I'll just cut a bunch off. So that because it always like shrinks down. You notice that? I know, Kim, that frustrates you, right? Well, it shrinks down, but look at how much overhang we have. It's going to shrink down in. It's going to look so pretty. I hope. Don't worry, I'm not going to waste that dough. Just trying to get it a little down. I don't have to have it so high up, because that also, when they're so high up and skinny like that, they'll probably burn. I think this looks pretty good. Do something with that. Now comes the fun. I'm not going to do all four, that would be too long, but I'll show you how I'm going to set one up. I'll take a little bit of my filling, and yeah, I'll put it in the bottom of the tart. I mean, I'm winging this with you. It's fun. A little bit of my filling, spread it around the tart, and I'm already, the second one I'm not going to do it like this because that was silly. I should have mixed it in with this, and I'm just going to clean my board after this. That's all a part of learning, you know, I'm just winging it. So I have my rustic pieces of baked pumpkin, and they're gonna go in there. But I want to mush it up. I'm gonna mush these up. Don't waste any either. Look at all this good, really good stuff in there. Get it right off of the skin. The skin, I found, is just a little too tough to go in the tarts, I think. Just get all the good meat. Okay. Fork. So I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna scrape it off the bottom, a lot of it. I'll leave some. I'm gonna put the mixture right in with this, mush it up a bit. It's really just like making more puree, but in a little bit of a rustic way. That looks really good. I'm gonna pour it back in. I'm not gonna have enough of that puree, I can tell already, but that's all right. These tarts are kind of big. I like that. And then I'll put a little more in there. Bind it. And the ones that are going to go on top, again, I'm not going to waste any pieces in there. And this, how gorgeous. It's looking so good already. Really good. Another one. See how easily it comes out of the skin when it's roasted to the right amount of time? It's nice. Look at that flesh. So good. All right. Tiny bit more. The choice what also was on top of these tarts, there was pepitas and there was sunflower seeds. So first I roasted these, which we did together. Oh, so good. The pumpkin seeds with spice. But you know what? They're too chewy to go on this fine tart. The flavor's good. And I thought I didn't have any pepitas. When I looked in the fridge, I have some. And these are perfect. These are the pepitas, the pumpkin seeds, raw. No, I'm sorry, blackened with spice. These are perfect. They come from Fresh Market, which is a fancy store here. And they're blackened with paprika to spices, but it's this hickory smoke flavor that's getting me. Oh, so we're gonna just sprinkle those right on top. Be so amazing. And they were pretty, the tart I had in England was pretty liberal with the seeds. It was almost like they were part of the whole dish, really. And then I have the sunflower kernels. I'm using the salted, roasted ones. I'm a little bit of a salt fiend, but you can use the ones that aren't salted. And again, pretty liberal because it adds to the crunch and top of the flavor of the top. And I also have these pistachio nuts, which I'm choosing, everything's intentional. I'm choosing what's going in here, but these could be good on another one, but not today. Look at this, it already looks so good. Can you see, look at, and it's not even baked yet. And I think that's about the height. I could go a little higher because again, it's gonna shrink down, but I'm gonna leave that one like that. And then remember, so this topping we're gonna make, I'm gonna make up the other 3 of these, and then I'm gonna heat up this topping. And the glaze, I'm gonna put in like in the last 10 minutes of the roasting of these so that it doesn't burn, because there are some sugars in the topping and I don't want it to burn. And you could actually just take them out hot, all the tarts out of the oven, and then drizzle the glaze on. But I think I'm gonna bake it in there, like roast it in there to really seal it in. Again, all choices. So I'll see you back here. I'm gonna assemble these other 3. Isn't this fun? Oh yeah, so fun. I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna make that nice, which I think is gonna just put this tart, sweet savory tart over the top, the glaze. So I just popped in the 4 tarts, and I made that cute little galette because I had a little extra tart dough left over, so why waste it? So remember I said I was doing my research online, and I think it was a New York Times article. They did a butternut squash with a honey chili glaze. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're gonna do some maple syrup, and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm gonna bake more than I need because it's just easier that way. If I have leftover, so be it. But I won't waste that either. Go in my tea or something. Some honey, crushed red pepper flakes. Go easy with these, but just easy. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of chili, dark chili powder in too, just a little. And then what I love, I haven't met a vinegar yet that I don't like. They have such good qualities to them too for our bodies, and they always give everything a special little twang. You never know that it's actually the vinegar sometimes. But anyway, I'm gonna heat this up, and then it'll be ready for the glazing. And I'll do it in about the last 10 minutes of the tarts. I'll check, and then I'll drizzle it on, or I'll sort of splash it on with my little thing here. Let me just taste it though. Oh, oh. Oh my God, it's gonna be so good. I'll just heat it up. I'll meet you back here when the tarts come out of the oven. And so much to talk about when we're eating the tarts together. We have a little talk. You know what I did realize? I think I might have bitten off a little more than I can chew today. I still have to make the bread dough because the Madra is still rising, but she's ready, and I'm gonna have to mix up the dough now. This will be a long day. That's all right. It's great. Okay. Okay. So I still am making my bread. I told you I bit off too much to chew today. I still have like a couple hours of folding the bread to get it ready to go form it and put it in the fridge tonight, but that's all right. I love a full day of Friday cooking. Usually I try to keep it more to the morning and then I have the rest of the day freed up, but it's been great. And the tarts just came out, although a little different than, I knew the filling was gonna throw me. I didn't do the filling exactly how they did it, and I really liked how sort of combined they made it without being an actual pie. But I came very close, and I love my flavor, and I love the drizzle, honey chili drizzle. It's amazing. And the crust I love with the Black Emmer. So I'm just eating, see, the galette, the little baby galette for lunch. And look at how flaky. So you see it's chunky and rustic, and the seeds, yeah, I know. It's a new vlog. I have to work on my videography. I need a video person, like a young millennial that can really help me. I think I'm good, like raw talent, like get the content, but I need someone to help me. But anyway, that's another thing. We're here to talk about a little bit change, embracing change today, and enjoying our fruits of our labor. Oh my God. It's delicious. It's so, the crust, crumbly and a little nutty because of the Black Emmer. And I love, the warm spices in the roasting of the pumpkin and the seeds and the biscotti. You know that lotus biscuit I put in, I think I could have even put more in. I think that would have, because I can detect it, but not overly, and I could have put more. And I think that was a good touch. Or I could put it in the crust. Yeah. Anyway, you see how fun this is? You just keep tweaking it, but it's delicious. And it's good for you, and it recycled my pumpkin. I don't like to waste anything, but you know what's so great? Friday cooking, get yourself, again, set up for the weekend. You have some food. I'll have some bread made. I've got these tarts for the weekend. But it's nice to just chat. So I want my vlog to be like things that are important to everybody out there. Probably mainly women, but I don't know, maybe, you know, men struggle with some of the same things that we do. And I'm beyond struggling now. You know, I'm in a point of life where I want everyone like thriving. Like struggles you go through earlier in life and you figure things out and you have some rough spots and bad times maybe, but you know, they're all lessons. And now at 58, what I hope to impart upon you is that no more struggling. Life really isn't that difficult if you just don't overcomplicate things and sort of go with the flow. So that's the stage I'm at, and I think I have some pearls of wisdom to dole out every Friday with you guys. I think I'm going to do this every Friday when I cook. So join me for my vlog here in Miami with Salty, my bulldog. She's been sleeping the whole entire time. I think I'm going to really enjoy this, and please write in and say what you want to talk about. But in terms of what I want to talk about today while I eat my tart is change. I've gone through a lot of change, especially since we left Maine. We moved to Maine when we first got married in '92. We lived there for 25 years, raised Maggie, and I started a business. I had my flower business, Sweet Pea Gardens, for 20 years. It's a beautiful period of time, and Maine is so gorgeous anyway. Beautiful place to raise a family and enjoy life. And I mean, even going to work, driving to drop-off weddings, or go to drop off client flowers, whatever, just driving along the coast is like a vacation every day. So I enjoyed every aspect of it. And of course, there comes a time when there will be a change. I didn't really anticipate it. I thought we'd be in Maine the entire time until my golden years, but Pat got a great offer to go back to New York. And so I knew New York. I used to live there. He grew up there. So I you know, I didn't really want to leave Maine, but I did know that I would love living in New York. So we went back to New York for, I guess we were there 5 years. So another big change though, selling everything in Maine. It took 3 years to sell off. I sold my business. We had properties, our house and our commercial property. It took entirety of 3 years to box everything up, give things to, you know, Salvation Army, or sell things or give things away, whatever, pack things in storage. It's a long process, and that change was hard. I'm not even a hoarder, but you know, you accumulate a lot in that amount of time, and if you have a barn, you tend to just throw everything in the barn. So when it comes time to move, there's a lot in that barn. Anyway, long story short, we went back to New York. I had a glorious 5 years. Pat's career was great. He loved it. You know, we saw our old friends. He got another opportunity, and now we're in Miami. And one place I didn't think I would love living. I'm still adjusting, and we've been here 3 years now. So in the span of 8 years, I've moved 3 times. And major move. The move from Maine to New York was major. The New York to Miami, geographically a big change, but we had pared down so much. We were just in a 2-bedroom condo, so we just moved to a new 2-bedroom condo, 40 boxes, not a big deal. Anyway, the bottom line of all this is change can be so scary, and people are like, oh my God, you're moving again. Like, I'm actually at a stage in my life where there's new challenges, new experiences, new ways to be creative. Selling my business gave me more time to learn how to paint. I have more time to cook. Soon you'll learn. I was also in this new thing that I'm really excited about. I can't tell you yet, but soon I will. So change brought all of that. I didn't have the space in my life while running a business to do a lot of the things that I now have time to do. So change has been awesome. And yes, scary, but it's the growth that brings you more joy, and you learn more about yourself, and you expand, and you meet new people, and we're in a new area. So we're traveling, and you know, I get to do shelling, which I love shelling. We go to the West Coast of Florida. So, you know, as much as I maybe didn't exactly want to come to Florida, there are many, many positive things here, and that part of that change, it's been awesome. So we're gonna talk and get to know each other better over the time of the vlog. I've enjoyed today's vlog with you and talking to you. Anyway, introduce yourself to me. Send me a DM, send me a message, what you want to talk about, what you want to cook together, share some recipes, and we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Ciao, as I say in Miami. Ciao, ciao.